Okay, this subscriber asks, lately I try to understand the secrets of color and how to achieve harmony, color harmony in my paintings. One of my questions is how to choose between color rules, and in parentheses complementary, analogous, triad, tetradic, for a painting. How to decide the best combination of colors. Note that usually I'm painting abstract or semi-abstract, where I don't have to recreate colors as if I were painting from photos. Could you please make a quick tip about this issue? Well, let's unlock a few secrets. The viewer's request would require a complete course to do it justice, but perhaps I can get you started on thinking about, or how to think about, answering the questions. Now, we can't unlock all the secrets of color. In fact, the way to unlock the secrets of color is by playing with color. So let's begin with color schemes. Now, a color scheme is a set of colors with which you use to create a complete painting. It can be two things. It can be a color scheme can be a set of colors on your palette. That would be I'll call it limited palette. And then you do any kind of mixing you want to create the colors on your painting. Or it could be the colors that appear on the painting, so that you limit what appears on the painting to a certain set of colors. Now, I hope that's not too confusing, but let's look at that. Well, before I say that, we know of 12 traditional color schemes. I'm not going to go into all that, but there are 4 major ones, and then most of the others are based somehow on combinations or expansions of those 4 major ones. The 4 major ones are analogous, complementary, triad, and tetrad. Now, I'll just show you how to find those. You need a color wheel. Anytime you're working with color, you need some guide, and the color wheel is your best guide. It doesn't matter what kind of color wheel. I like the traditional 12 hue color wheel, but any color wheel you use, I suggest stick to one, get used to working with that one, and whatever you're doing in terms of color studies, you can do the same thing regardless of which wheel you're using. But you need that color wheel as a guide. Now, if you get one of those color wheels that has all of this computer stuff inside of it, cut that out, or at least ignore it, because that's just going to confuse you. What you need to be able to do is to think these things through. Now, I'm going to give you just a little bit of a guide as to how to do that. Now, we're talking about how to achieve harmony in abstract paintings. You can also use, we can practice these principles I'm going to show you, this little exercise I'm going to show you in just a moment. Practice this not just towards abstract, but you can also use it towards realistic painting, or where you're using realistic images and you're just changing color around a little bit. So here we go. Analogous, what does that mean? Analogous colors are colors on the wheel that are cousins or neighbors. So analogous to yellow, for example, analogous colors to yellow could go over to yellow-green, yellow-orange, even go over as far as orange. Usually when people talk about analogous colors, they keep those within a range of about 4 colors. Now, that's not cut and dry. Different people have different definitions as to where, or different ideas as to where analogous starts and something else begins. But that means that those would be the 4 colors that you would set out, whatever they are. Analogous to what? Begin with a color. In that case, I chose analogous to yellow. There is analogous to every color on the wheel. So if you chose blue, for example, then you would choose a set of colors that are analogous to blue. This might go to violet over to green. All those are strongly influenced by blue. If you chose, you could choose red-violet, where red-violet would be analogous to violet, be analogous to red. And if you wanted to push a little further, you might even go to blue-violet, maybe over to red-orange, but that might be pushing a little bit. Let's say stick to the colors that end red-violet. So you stick to the colors that that include the red and over to the blue-violet and so on. So you begin with a single color and then you find the analogous colors to that. Those are the colors that you would put on your palette, and those you use only those colors then to mix with. Now there is a little bit of a caveat there when I say only those colors to mix with. I think you could also add to that only those colors plus the complement of your original color, and that would enable you then to get neutrals of the colors that you're working with. Okay, that's analogous. Complementary. Complementary means two colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. Any two colors. It could be yellow-violet, it could be green-red, it could be orange-blue, it could be blue-green-red-orange, it could be yellow-orange-blue-violet, and on and on. Any two colors opposite on the color wheel. And what that means is that you choose two colors, orange and blue. Those might be your two colors. Any two colors, those will be the two colors you start out with on your palette with white to lighten. And usually the colors are going to have within them the ability to darken. And they're going to automatically neutralize each other, so you don't have to worry about having, don't have to be concerned about having another color there for the neutral. So that's complementary. Now, we get to the interesting part now, and that is triad. A triad of colors, any three colors that are equal distance on the color wheel, or simply any three colors on the color wheel. Now, there are people who are diehards about this, who insist that a true triad is going to be any three colors equal distance on the color wheel. There are going to be others that say, okay, if it's a triad, it can be any three colors. I'm going to say do it your way, whatever works. So, what does that mean? What does equidistance mean? If you were doing a primary triad, it would be yellow, red, and blue. That's a triad. And then you can see there is 1, 2, 3 colors between them, 1, 2, 3 between it, and 1, 3, and so on. So if we had this as a triangle here, we could simply rotate it, and we could choose any three colors that have three hues between them. Those would be the colors that you put right here. Those would be the colors that you'd use for your painting. No other colors except for white, because you also have built into these the ability to create a neutral. So that's triad. And now you can guess what the tetrad is. That's any four colors that are equidistant on the color wheel, or any four colors. Now, and there are some interesting tetrads. One is what would be something where there is a single color between two. So we might have yellow-orange, and then its complement, which would be blue-violet, yellow-green, and its complement, which would be red-violet. Now that's also called a double split complement, but don't have to remember that if you just remember it's a tetrad. So you could do it another way. By the way, and as I said before, those will be the only colors that appear on your palette, and with white, and with those colors you mix all of the colors. You could do it a different way from that. You could, and still have a tetrad, where you could go from green to red, for example, and skip two, go from yellow, orange, blue, violet. You see, that way you have two colors between, two hues between two other colors on either end. And, well, actually, if you count, you'll have it that way all the way around. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then those colors would be the only ones that you would have on your palette. Now, each one of those schemes, when used in a painting, can give you harmonious color. So I'm going to go through a little exercise here that you can do to help you to know how you can use these schemes in order to create harmonious color. It's not just a matter of just these colors, but it's the value range of the colors and how they affect each other. So if we take, for example, the color yellow-orange. So I'll pull some yellow-orange down on my palette right here. Now, this is the best way to do this exercise. It is an exercise, and you can take every color on the color wheel and build an exercise like this around it. And this will be the best way for you to get to know the color. So if we started out with yellow-orange, the first exercise would be to take yellow-orange and create a set of mixtures with yellow-orange that are analogous mixtures. So with that, what do we have? We would have mixtures of yellow-orange would go, the analogous colors of yellow-orange might go all the way to yellow-green. So then we might put a little yellow-green on the palette. I'll just put these, arrange these like this on that side, and then yellow. We have yellow-orange, yellow, and yellow-green, so we'll just do this like this. And then as we move on over like this, yellow-orange, then we'll have the orange. So we do, I'll just put a little bit of red here, mix it with that. We would have the orange here, and orange, then yellow-orange. Now, whether you go all the way over to red-orange, I think maybe it's more analogous if you stick right here into this neighborhood. All right, so now there is an analogous set of colors for yellow-orange, and I need one more color in order to be able to work with that. This color doesn't appear on the canvas. This is what you might call a tool, this particular color. Yellow-orange needs blue-violet, because blue-violet will act as a neutralizer for yellow-orange. So I'm going to go over to ultramarine blue. I come right over here with ultramarine blue and create a blue-violet. That'll be adding enough alizarin crimson, or this is the best red probably to add to that. And we'll show you just a little bit of how that works. I don't want to really string this out, but I want you to be able to do this kind of exercise. Now, a painting, these are high intensity colors right here. A painting that has all high intensity colors is going to feel like chaos. But if you create the major part of the painting with lower intensity colors, and regardless of what scheme you're using, if you create the major part of the painting with low intensity colors, save the high intensity colors for just accents, there is your secret to harmony. So you could use any one of these schemes and do that. And I'm going to do just a little bit here with the analogous scheme to show you. Then you can go over to you can use the same procedure. You can go to the complementary scheme, do the same sort of thing I'm going to do here. You can go to the Triad scheme, the Tetra scheme. You can do the same sort of thing. So I just want to show you how to do that. Now here I have yellow-orange. That is the high intensity color. I do not want the whole composition, if I'm doing abstract or realistic, I want there to be a minor, very, very little bit of that color if I want to keep color harmony. So what I'm going to do first of all is to begin, I'm going to start with that color, and I'm going to lower its intensity. Now I'll go over here to my red-violet, and I see I need to probably add a little bit more red-violet. I'm going to get within the neighborhood of the value of the yellow-orange. I'll put just a little bit more red in that. Actually, that needs to be blue-violet. A little bit of a moment there. We won't call it what it is. Should be blue-violet instead of red-violet. Alright, just scratch all that, and here we go. There we go, blue-violet. Now just enough blue-violet right here. Now, if I'm going to do a painting where I'm using this Analogous Palette, I will put just a little bit of that blue-violet and gradually just lower the intensity. Now it doesn't have to be lowered much. So the colors that go into that painting, if I'm painting abstract, that means that I'm dealing with shapes and values and so forth. So I might place that color wherever, and I'm being very abstract here. Now I may lower the intensity a little bit more, and you'll notice that as I lower the intensity of this, you'll notice that it's getting darker. I'm going to put it right through there because I don't want that to show. Now I'm going to move over and I'm going to begin to add some orange to that, but I want the lower intensity orange, and this, because it has blue in it, will lower the intensity of the orange. And there you see it gets darker too. And let's get it a little bit darker. We'll go back to the true value of the red violet. I keep saying that, blue violet. Blue violet, and there we can begin to add some dark in. But you see it's still orange. So, you could also use something like quinacridone quinacridone burnt orange for here. You could do that because that also is a low intensity orange. You could use the Rembrandt transparent oxide red. That would work. So let's just see if we can get something going here. All right, so that gets us some bluer colors. Now I'm going to go over that red. They pull the color out of that. I'm going to go from the yellow orange. See what I'm doing here? I'm just randomly mixing these colors to get that color, get that analogous color relationship. Now I want some yellow here, but I want that yellow low intensity. So here we go, low intensity yellow. Let's get it a little bit, let's pull some white into it, and let's get a little bit of light going in here with that low intensity yellow. Get some more white in here, and let's put a little bit of light in here. Just sort of, you can see it's just a random abstraction, and all I'm doing is just crisscross brush strokes to create that. Go right through them, get rid of all that high intensity. Now I'm going to move gradually into that yellow-green, but I want the lower intensity, and I can pull the violet into that, and I can get that lower intensity right there. It is. I can even raise the value of that lower intensity and get a little bit of that yellow-green in there. So, all right, so then we can put a little bit of yellow-green, sort of distribute that around. I'm kind of put an end to this about right here. I could get a darker yellow-green, put it right down here, pull a little bit of more of that purple in there for the darker yellow-green. As long as I'm using yellow-green, there we go. Let's get kind of a little path going here. Might even get, let's get kind of a little C-path. We get a C-path going right here. Let's throw some really, really dark yellow-green in here. We could put it right down in here. Now I might pull some orange into the yellow-green. And that would help also. Has a little bit of the red in it. There we go. Kind of like that. Now we begin to get a lot of the lower intensity color. Now this is by no way definitive. This is just one combination. You can take this in any direction. Take this exercise in any direction. The important thing here is that you have an abstraction of colors that are analogous to each other. And so I'll just get some more dark going here, and this time I'm going to mix that purple with the orange and get that dark. That also decreases the intensity, and it's decreased intensity. Any degree of decreased intensity is going to help keep color harmony. Now what we can do at this point is, if it feels sort of dull because it is all lower intensity. So get these little spots filled in here. Now what we can do is I'm going to rinse all that out of the brush. Now if this is not making sense, that means that you need to do it. That means that it's just a matter of, it's abstraction, but if you wanted to use images, you could take any image and just use these colors to define the image and let the volume guide you. Alright, so now I'm going to put a few accents of the yellow orange. Look at that. You see how bright that looks. It's an accent of yellow orange. I can also put a few an accent of any of these colors, any of the analogous colors that I have in here now, I can use for accent. There we go. Of course, if it's still wet like this is, I have to kind of scumble that on there. So if that's a problem, you could, or if you're working with acrylics, you won't have that problem. Okay. You can see now that the accents of the high intensity color are much more meaningful now, and they can help brighten things up. Let's get a little bit of accent of yellow-green. Yellow-green is, as far as the analogous is concerned, I think I said earlier, some folks would say yellow-green is not a part of the analogous, but I'm including it because it is a neighbor. It is a second cousin, you might say, of yellow-orange. And so put a little bit of yellow-green in here. And let's see. Now we got to be careful that we don't overdo using the high-intensity colors. Just a minimal amount. There are no rules, but use your judgment. When the thing begins to sparkle and it sings to you, then it's time to stop. Now the other thing I would do there before stopping there on this particular one is I would add a few more darks, just a little bit more in the dark range. And that what we'll do by adding the yellow-green, get the yellow-green add a little bit of orange to that. There we go. That ends up being kind of a very low intensity green. Let's just put some dark accents in here, and then that will be a nice color study. Let's get some just vertical and horizontal marks just in that darker value. You see, it's beginning to get junky now, so this is the time to stop. Now, that's just color study, just to show you how you can use an analogous scheme, keeping the colors, keeping all the hues that you put in the painting, keeping those on a lower intensity, using the higher intensity colors only for accents, and that gives you color harmony. Now you can do the same thing with a complementary scheme. Just choose two colors, add white, and then explore the range of intensities. You could get almost gray with some of them if you want to, almost totally neutral. Same thing is true with the Triad. I showed you how to get that. So you could take the same thing through, do a complementary study, do a Triad study, and do a Tetra study, just using the same process that you saw me using here. I think you will discover for yourself lots of the secrets of color as you're doing these exercises, if you will just take a few hours and concentrate on doing just these studies for the sole purpose of discovering the secrets of color for color harmony. Be sure to view all of our quick tips. And while you're doing so, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell so you'll always get a notice when we produce a new quick tip, which is every week. And if you have a question, leave it in the comments section and we'll make a quick tip for you. Also, take a trip over to DianneMize.com where I have full-length lessons, downloads, DVDs, lots of other stuff there, some free stuff for you. And while you're there, you can subscribe to the newsletter, and that way you'll always be informed every time we do something new.